Ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody.
Well, they need a gun, bro.
What you think?
They need a strap.
What you think about them?
You want to run
a fair one?
Real quick, what you think about them?
The Island Boys.
Yeah,
Wait, we rolling?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good, bro.
Man, the Island Boys. I don't even know what to say. One, I like their dreads. I'm sad that they cut them off.
I didn't know they didn't cut it off.
They cut it off.
What, they got fades now? Or?
Yeah,
I think somebody
fades.
beat them up and just tore the braids off their heads, bro.
Really?
I think that happened.
So?
I think that happened.
Wait, how'd you know? Like they
going with
fought?
the Dark Caesar, man. Just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just dark hair.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I like the dreads though.
They need. They're in Florida. They need guns, bro. Because
you think so?
Yeah, they don't got no hands, bro. Like they
got no
not
hands.
Be fighting anybody.
Hey,
they weigh like, yeah, they're like, nah, they should not be fighting. Bro.
If the Island Boys see this, they gonna have to fight Hector 1-on-1, not 2-on-1 though. Because Hector it seemed like he calling out the Island Boys.
I'm hearing the same thing. I think I hear a call out.
Them, bro.
All right, gentlemen. Real quick, man. Numbers Podcast. Thank you for joining. We have two special guests today. Today we have CAYLIN Lewis Moore, published author, TCU grad, Oxford grad, and just doing big things, right? A dream too big.
Yes, sir.
And we have the homie Michael Carroll, also TCU grad and currently a PhD student at Rice University. Two phenomenal, great guys. So we just kind of want to chop it up.
Yes, sir, man. Glad to be here today, man. In this beautiful studio, man. Southside the realest, man.
Southside the realest.
What you know about that? You know about that,
bro? Let me tell you what I do know about that. So I found out. What was it? 2 days ago. You know, I just flew into Dallas. You know, I'm here speaking, and I was talking with this woman at the airport, and she had like this real strong like Dallas accent. I was like, "Excuse me, miss. You know, I like your accent. Where you from?" You know, it's an older woman, and she said she was from South Oak Cliff.
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I was like, "What?" One of my good friends from South Oak Cliff.
Yeah,
and I said also my grandma, she has a similar accent to you, and she's from Dallas. I don't know where she grew up, and I said she went to Carter High School. She said, "Oh yeah, I know Carter," and then she said, I told her that my grandma grew up by the Redbird Mall. Like, I don't know what that is.
Bro,
something
like,
called the
for
Redbird.
real?
That's where
I didn't know that.
Wait, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What?
Wait, no. So listen to this. I didn't know. Like, I just knew that fact. Oh, she's by the Redbird Mall, and she said, "Oh, your grandma from South Oak Cliff." I said, "My grandma from South Oak Cliff?" I was like, "Man, I gotta tell that to Ricky." So I've been saving that this whole time.
Bro, that's crazy.
My grandma's from South Oak Cliff.
Just like, cause real quick, I mean, from what I know, right, your ties were all from like L.A., Compton. Area. That's crazy. Your grandma.
Yeah, my grandma. So she grew up in Dallas. I didn't know if she was from South Oak Cliffs. She moved out to California because of racism. She couldn't stand, stepping off the curb, for a small white child, or all the things that were going on during that time period.
Really? So
she moved out to California. She said, I can't deal with this. It's driving me crazy. But yeah, she's originally from Dallas. She had a twin sister.
So she was probably part of the white flight. That happened in here in Dallas.
Yeah, or yep. Or the what do they call it? The
white
migration.
The Great Migration.
Well, I mean, from my understanding.
Wait, your grandma's white?
No.
He meant the white flight.
No, he meant the Great Migration. It's like when African Americans left the South and went to
Ohio, went to the to Midwest or northern states for better economic opportunities.
Yeah, y'all heard of the white flight though, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar. Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. That's when there's a certain constituency in the neighborhood, and they're like, "Oh, we don't like that. We need to leave."
That's what happened where I'm from. Well, I'm from like Duncanville, which is like literally right where Redbird Mall. Like that's like I think Oak Cliff and Redbird Mall, like that area, it becomes Dallas and Oak Cliff.
Really?
I mean Duncanville and Oak Cliff.
Right.
But yeah, I remember growing up, bro. Like, I even like wrote about this, in one of my sets. But like, yeah, like growing up, my neighborhood, I had, it was like everyone was very diverse, bro. It was like like a bunch of little Mexican kids running around, black kids, white kids. We were all playing football. And then once we got a little bit older, bro, like 12, 13, 14, I was like, where all the white kids go? And then you go to school and there's no more white kids, bro.
You saw it happen.
So
Usually
yeah,
people don't see it happen.
they all went to Midlothian. Like they went to Midlothian, Waxahachie.
Wow.
And sometimes you would, because there wasn't like social media for us, so you just thought they just disappeared, bro. A best friend, you had the little best friends at school.
Yeah, of course.
Where's Christopher at?
Long gone.
Dipped out on us, bro.
gone.
That was a thing, bro. That happened in Duncanville High School. When my brother was there, he graduated 05. You look at the yearbook. I mean, when they take the picture of the whole class,
yeah.
bro. It's like literally like it's like you can literally it's like a good fraction, right? It's a good it's like Latinos, you know, like white people, black folks, bro, like Chinese, like Asian, Indian, everything.
Right.
Even, bro, look, real talk though, people don't talk about the Asian flight either, bro. They
Oh,
dipped out of Duncanville too.
Bro,
Bro, they dipped out of Duncanville too. They're like, hey, we won't be around these Mexicans, bro.
Where'd they
Like,
go?
they went to Plano. Plano, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, don't tell me
Carrollton.
that, bro. They went to
Carrollton.
Carrollton. What were you?
Yeah, Carrollton, dog. So that's where all the Asian migrates towards, like coming up north and stuff. So like, you're
Yeah.
telling me like that area is like specifically like for like Mexicans now or black or?
What's changing, right?
It just
so now,
changed.
like, yeah, people are coming back into the
But
city.
it's. I feel like you know, you can see how you want to see it, but I feel like now it takes a certain amount of a certain type of person to, for example, these cities, bro. Like, there's not, for example, Duncanville, because I ran for city council there and all that shit. Like, I was a little bit involved in the city.
Yeah, he an activist. I told you about
Yeah.
I remember when we talked about.
Oh yeah. But like, I was like, the demographics here are like, you know, the people in this in the community, they all look like me, right? You go to City Hall, who runs all that, who makes all the moves for the city, who gets to dictate what money gets spent on parks, on bike lanes, on things like that. All like really old people that do not look like us at all.
Right.
So yeah, so now it's changing though. Like we're having these conversations at barbershops, at you know, spaces in Duncanville, and it's changing now. It's not even about like Hispanics or like just not us not being in control of the choices. It's us having our voice shared. And now it's like a Cinco de Mayo festival next week. You know, there's like a corrido group playing in at a block party. There's block parties, bro. It just takes conversations, but it takes your mouth. Sometimes your mouth could do more than you know, than your hands, bro. Nah, but yeah,
Island boy.
Hey, he's still calling out them island boys. Y'all
yeah,
better
bro,
be
that's what
ready.
I was just trying to say that, bro.
I think he
need the
said he's
bag.
gonna take both of them. You know, buy one get one free, right? 2 for 1.
Bro, they
But
wild.
yeah, but how do we even get here? But
Well,
we're
we
talking
started with
about
the Island
Oh yeah,
Boys,
you
man.
said white flight. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We was
but
talking-
I was like, your grandma's white, bro. She said she was like, she
she
was
not
like,
white.
Nah, man.
Great
they're being
migration.
racist to your
Yeah.
white grandma.
No,
Okay,
No, but
okay.
for everybody, man, this podcast is like Dallas based, and we focus, you know, the majority of the time on like just the culture of Dallas.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
you know,
a
we
lot
have
of
guests coming
legends.
into Dallas. It's like, hey, come on through to the podcast.
Hey, a lot of legends started in South Oak Cliff, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman, yeah.
South
My mom
Oak
knew
Cliff.
Dennis Rodman, yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, I barely found that out.
bro. Chris Bosh, the NBA champion.
Yep.
He went to
he went to
Carter.
Lincoln. No,
Oh,
he went to Lincoln High School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where E-Man went, right?
Yeah, E-Man and
Tafari.
Tafari went to Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said
Yeah.
that.
Bro, people just randomly from Dallas, bro.
Yeah, people don't even know, man.
Tight.
But just to like quickly switch, right?
Yeah.
What you been up to, man? Both of y'all. What y'all been up to, man? Because I know it's been some time. Y'all like are really educated people. You stay grinding and focus on a specific task. And sometimes, man, the world just like, man, what happened to Seymour? Like, what
Yeah,
happened to
man.
Michael Carroll, man? But just talk to the world of what y'all been up to.
Yeah, sure, man. Since I graduated from TCU, I was blessed enough to earn the Rhodes Scholarship. So that took me to the University of Oxford. I lived in England for 2 years, which was
Dang.
really dope. Like
Wow.
the dormitory I stayed in was older than the United States. Like the dorm was
Bro.
created in I'm gonna say 12,
Dang.
15 AD, and you know the U.S. is many years later.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy. It was so cool. It was like Hogwarts. It really was. You know, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and I forget the other names. Nevertheless, yeah, man. So after Oxford, I got married. We started having children, building out our family. I wrote a book, and then I decided like I want to become a college professor. Like I think that would be something super impactful, something that inspires me to dedicate myself to it. To the research component of it, and
Yeah.
the teaching, the mentorship side, and just the mere fact that it's extremely rare to have an individual such as myself, phenotypically speaking, on a college campus. And then, I've even had little experiments where I'm about to teach a class and like I'll sit down like in the crowd.
Oh, okay,
And
be like a student,
I'll wait, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until people start itching like, okay, it's been about like 3 or 4 minutes, like it's time to go. Then I stand up, hello everyone, my name is CAYLIN. And it's like, it's such a shock. It's so funny though, but it's so funny because it's just so shocking. It's like, it's unexpected. But yeah, man, I'm training to be a professor. I'm at Stanford University right now, so have a couple years more, and hopefully after Stanford, I'll be a professor at Brown, UT Austin, North Carolina, Duke, something like that. So right now, the most immediate thing is I'm focusing on becoming a professor of sociology.
Man, and it started from Compton, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Straight out of Compton, man.
Yeah, that's where
Damn,
it started.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where we coming from. That's where we
Man,
coming
that's
up
what
out
I'm
of.
talking about. Just to like take a quick pause,
please.
Mike.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so similar situation, both a couple of us was here at TCU up in Fort Worth, but since then I took a break, took a gap year, went home, and because we did the football thing at TCU, and we had a lot to learn coming from where I'm from. In Ohio, there wasn't a lot of knowledge, football wise, and I think that I could reflect on my experiences. So when I was back home, so I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I decided to kind of give back, what had been given to me. So I kind of helped out some of the young guys on the football team there and just tried to be a light for them in whatever regard, whether that be football, life, whatever, just decision making. And it was really great to bestow just all the different things that I had learned, I experienced in college onto them. It was just the process of figuring out, what I wanted to do in my next big steps in life from a big level. And I think that, talking with CAYLIN and just seeing what I had in terms of my corner, being a McNair scholar, being able to apply to graduate school and get, fee waivers, it was kind of like a thing where why wouldn't I, take that shot to see if I could be a professor too, if I could go ahead and share my perspective with the world, might as well shoot, because sometimes people shoot too low and the problem is they actually make it. And I thought to myself, like, I took a big chance on myself and had faith coming down to TCU, never even being to Texas before, when I decided to go there for undergrad. So I was like, if a lot of the great things in my life came from taking that big chance and having faith, why stop now? I'm a young man, just got out of college, and it would be, if I looked at myself in the mirror 10, 20 years from now, I feel kind of shameful knowing that I took a chance, but I only did that one time, and I never knew what I left on on the table, or what the meat I potentially left on the bone in terms of maximizing what I had. And I think in a similar way for the discipline we're going into with sociology, I think myself as much as CAYLIN, we have a lot to say. We have a lot to say in terms of the things we've seen, the things we've experienced, and we have a lot to bring to the table. So I'm shooting at training and becoming a professor, so I decided to do a lot of applications and whatnot, and I've landed at Rice University, the Ivy League of the South. So I'm about 4 hours away from here in Dallas, down in Houston. So that's been really great. So doing the PhD stuff, I'm currently in my second year. Other than that, I've just been building out myself in terms of being a more balanced individual. We skateboard now. That's something that we added to the repertoire, which is really crazy because I don't think we're necessarily the type of individuals from many different ways that would be the guys on a skateboard, right? So skateboard, of course, I've continued to, learn piano and stuff like that, very musically interested. So just building myself in many different ways and just exposing myself to different things, especially that I'm in Houston, because if I'm out there where there's a lot to be exposed to, might as well be exposed to it, because it's only going to make me more wise, more knowledgeable. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to since TCU, man. But
we're gonna call you Dr. Carroll, man. Isn't that crazy? Never would expect that. Doctor.
Never.
Like he'll walk into, go to Starbucks. It's like, they don't know, but this is Dr. Carroll they're speaking with.
right.
Both of y'all, right?
Right.
So-
Are you gonna tell people to call you doctor, or are you just gonna be like, hey man, call me, like some people
I feel like you work for it, bro. You if you put in that grind, man, I think you deserve
Yeah. I think from a respect standpoint, a professional standpoint,
Yeah.
it'll be correct for folks to address me as
yes.
at least my students, colleagues.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call CAYLIN Dr. Moore because we work for that.
Yeah.
We mutually work
That
for
ain't
that.
easy,
And I'm
yeah.
gonna acknowledge that. Dr. Moore, what's up? How you doing? Dr. C.L. Moore.
I'll be honest. I need that from everyone. My mom included.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone.
Mom.
My mom needs to call me doctor. Everybody. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Other than my kids. Oh, I need that from everyone, man.
Yeah, I've always
But
wondered what that perspective is, because I've never really got to speak to somebody that it's in that process, right? And like, what's the mindset going? I mean, I really don't. It's not even like a question that really matters. Really, I think everything, your journey matters more than anything. Like what it took, and nobody really knows what it took to get there, right?
Right.
Dang.
Unless you tell them. right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, right? I kind of want to like just quickly shift back.
Hey, please.
It's like y'all are two highly motivated individuals that are doing big things, right?
Right.
Where does that come from? How do you sustain that? So the reason for that is like I know a lot of people who go on to a journey and they achieve one thing, but you guys are always trying to achieve something greater, right? Like a bigger purpose in life. And you don't really, most often you don't come across those type of people. So it's like, how do y'all keep that fire lit? If that makes sense, right? Because at any point you can be like, both of y'all, I started from so and so, and I'm here. I'm cool. It's enough.
Right.
Like, and I know you two are not gonna stop. So where's that come from? Like,
man.
right? Well, what keeps y'all going? You still wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I'll be up
earlier.
at
It's
5
crazy.
tomorrow,
Both of y'all, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
where's that come from, right? What information can y'all give to the people?
Yeah, man. What I would say is, so a lot of times, like parents, they try to, motivate their kids through external means, right? Like, if you get straight A's, you get to go somewhere special. You get straight A's, it's $20 per A or something like that. And I think like maybe how I was raised, it's like doing well in school or like handling your business in sports or character wise and otherwise, like that's your job. Like that's just what you do. Like you do that because that's just what you do. That like my mom would speak in terms like that's just what we do. It's you don't get a reward for that. That's just what we do. That's who we are. You're more. And that was like the extent of it. Despite the fact that we grew up in the hood and that wasn't necessarily the norm, but I think like a lot of that intrinsic motivation is what, I had, early on. Like if you were to ask my mom growing up, what is CAYLIN going to be when he grows up? It's like whatever he wants to be. Like it wasn't I had a friend that told me this one time. This friend was Indian, and he said his father, and you may have heard this before. He said his father told him something that's very common, apparently. He said, son, you have two options in life for what you want to do. You can be a doctor or you can be a failure. Yeah, that was right.
That's
right.
A lawyer.
Not
a
doctor or a failure. And it's like, I mourn for him. I mourn for him for this reason, because in some regards, you would think like having certain level of expectations would be beneficial. But for him, it was very stressful. And he actually didn't want to be a doctor. You know what I mean? And so he has all this, external motivation for what he needs to do. But that burned out right when he got to college. For me, I was intrinsically motivated, to do something impactful in a positive way, on society, such as yourself, right? And that inspired me. So it's just finding the avenue to do that. If it was through litigation, I said I'm going to go to law school and I want to get people that were wrongfully convicted on death row off of death row, whatever the case is, it would have been through that. If I wanted to run for local city council or whatever it is, right now it's, through research, scholarship, teaching, through academia, right? But it's just the intrinsic motivation of saying like, in my short time here on this earth, 27, the average life expectancy of African American, is south of 80 years. Hopefully I get 102 years. I'm throwing it out there right now. Some wood right here. I hope I get 102, right? Yeah. But nevertheless, like, from a statistic standpoint, a certain amount of my life, perhaps, a quarter of my life, has already been lived. So we're only here for such a short amount of time, right? So I think a lot about like, how do I want to spend my time here? You know what I mean? That like inspires me. I want to spend my time with my family. I want to spend my time having some type of positive impact on my community, such that, when I'm dead and gone, and people are thinking about certain issues pertaining to poverty or things going on in neighborhoods like mine. And instead of, saying, all right, let's go on a tour to the projects, let's go on a tour to South Oak Cliff, they have to go to a museum because they can't find no poverty around there no more. They don't find people that are in that same level of destitution. So my goal, I endeavor to put these social problems in a museum somewhere, right? So that inspires you every single day. If you're working on a little project, interviewing people, coding, doing some statistical analysis, whatever, it's like this inspiration. I must be the same inspiration that gentlemen much greater than myself, such as Malcolm X, must have drawn from, or individuals such as Martin Luther King. It's like they lived their life in relative obscurity for most of their life. You know what I mean? Where people didn't know too much about them, and then they had like this emergence when they were enlightened. They received some information that just inspired them. It moved them so deeply, right, that they dedicated their life to something. And I think that's one of the the biggest goals that you kind of have is to be able to do that. Or you could just get a job, but you'll still feel like that itching, that pulling inside of you. And for me, it's like I made it a priority, always make it a priority to like kind of live in alignment with that, as opposed to just going through the motions. And it keeps me inspired.
Right. And I in very many ways, I'm gonna echo, the same sentiments you just said, but in a different way.
Can you point the yeah.
Pointed towards you. There
But
you
in a different way.
People need to listen. People need to hear this.
Oh yeah.
But once again, CAYLIN spoke about parenting, and I think that's really important. But I also think that even as children, children are their own individual people as well, right? So I think that from a young age, I never ever really had an urge to be an average person in many regards. And I remember one of my earlier memories about school was, I forget if I was in like first or second grade, but I was in the basement, and my dad had printed me out some math problems, right? So what is 1 + 1, 2 + 2, X, Y, Z, all these different basic arithmetic problems. And one of them, I just didn't know the answer, and I didn't even know how to figure it out. And it got to the point where I was just guessing, and I got so frustrated, and I ended up crying. And I kind of like stopped, and my dad said, Michael, we don't ever quit. We're Carrolls. We master everything we do. And that pretty much, that small situation really, even though intrinsically I'm not really like a quitter type person, but in that situation, I showed that I was willing to give up. But that never really, coursed through me ever again in life since that point. I've never just given up. So my dad let me know that, as Carrolls, we master everything we do. And I took that so literally. And that's, even if I'm on the playground racing kids, I don't care if I'm a kindergarten and you're in 5th grade, I'm beating you to the top of the hill. If we're in math class, I'm going to be the first to answer the question. Or y'all think y'all got the answer right? No, y'all got it wrong. And I can explain why. And then the teacher's going to be like, dang, Michael's smart, because I took so literally like master everything that, I do. And I think that in many different ways that has branched out and it's manifested in, my life. How is it that I can be great at a number of different things? And it's because of that approach. And I think that, so that's one component of what kind of motivates me, is like there's an undying desire to not be average in any regard. So there's that aspect, but also throughout my life, I've had a lot of people who have poured into me. And the thing about that is, people will say, I have no problem helping you, but for the next young man such as yourself or whatever young person you can reach, give it back. And it's free of charge. Yeah, pay it forward, give it back. Because now I've been in situations where I was looking for an answer that nobody in my community had, and had it not been for an individual with the mindset that CAYLIN Moore has, or I have, or one of you all has, maybe I never would have got that answer. I never would have got to the next step in my journey. So just having the understanding that that I could be the person to speak to one person who will then go on to influence and trailblaze a path that will positively impact so many people. It's like I can't sleep on what I'm doing, because
I've seen this dude stand in a caf before, like like the mess, the food hall,
the cafeteria,
yep, and literally just help somebody on something small and like really spend an hour, like forget where he's at. And it's like that's a unique character quality. There's a lot of people are a little bit more like time conscious or like selfish, just to put it in layman's, and just to put it out straight up.
Yeah.
But it's like that's something I've seen you live out. It's like that actually means something to you to sit there and you help somebody today at a skateboard.
Yeah.
But to sit there and really like help somebody like through, because you were the person that was desperately in need of somebody doing that. And a lot of times people won't even spend the time.
It's that selfless flu, bro.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like the flu, but with helping people. Like
it's contagious.
With no expectations of a quick
Ain't gonna get
return,
nothing from it.
which I think is important, right? A lot of people do selfish things, right? But they expect instant, gratification, karma back, right? I think it's like it really comes
it's
to
like
you is when you do it with like open heart, with no expectations.
You make a really good point, man. And I think like I'm not even gonna get up here and just talk about like I did this, because at a certain point,
someone did that for you though.
somebody did that for me, and if my heart's in the right spot, why does that even matter, bro? Because if my cup is full as that coffee you drinking right now, bro, I'm gonna pour it all out to, you know, I might not have some, but also I go back to the thing.
Not empty, bro. It's full. It's
Right,
half full.
Right, there you go. Perspective, right? Is it half empty or half full, right? But
because something is always gonna be full. Once that's empty, my stomach's full. I don't know. That's
Hey, it's getting deep.
bars.
I think he was gonna go there. He went there.
But to give back to the rest of your question and give a full, complete, you know, 360-degree answer, I think that given all the things that I've seen in life, it's like, why not go on to be someone who can impact people? And like, I've been that, but also, you know, sometimes when the motivation isn't quite the same, or I'm not surrounded by, you know, the same folks I was in college, such as, you know, some of you all here with me, and when sometimes that's bleak, there's like an undying belief where, like, for example, back home, people didn't necessarily think much of me. In a certain regard, they took me seriously, but not very seriously to the point where I was worthy of the things I thought I was worthy of, and I didn't necessarily fit in my environment. However, I always had in the back of my mind, like, you know, for these 18 years I'm here, and it might seem like I'm in a cave, but I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know there's a light. So, for example, like, you know, doing this PhD, sometimes it might be challenging. You know, we might be challenged with certain tasks, or completing certain things, or just handling courses and research hours, and just juggling all these different things. And it seems like, you know, it's bleak, you know, you're losing motivation. But the same way I had that faith back where I was from, and I finally made it out and I got to TCU, I need to have that same faith, because there's going to be a time where, you know, my life is in abundance. You know, I'm eating everything I need. You know, there's flowers, it's beautiful. And I don't think that it's kind of like a test. Because if I'm to hang my head in the dark moments, am I worthy of experiencing the sunshine? You know, so I think it's important to do that, because when it's time for that sunshine, there's going to be people that need to hear what I have to say, or will really benefit, or whatever I was going through in those dark times, I can use that and help somebody else out the same way, like kind of like you gave that, you know, that example of me in the cafe, or just, you know, at the skate park, or just all the different little things. And it really adds up. And those are the things that really touch people. Those are the things that really make a difference in people's lives. And I think it's important to just understand that principally, because the unforeseen future depends on, you know, the motivation I have to get up and stick to the things that I set out to do.
Can I throw something out real quick?
Yeah.
I just had a thought, man. Real recognize real. Real recognize. Okay, let me get into that. It's like I was thinking about, like, I went in a circle in my head around everybody that's sitting here, you know, in this podcast episode. And it's like a real recognized, real interaction that I've had with each and every one of you. Isn't that crazy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I was to go around, first time I talked with you, bro, I remember you told that coconut story. And mind you, somebody might think, like, man, why I'm talking to this dude and listening to his, like, culture about Samoa and, you know, this coconut story. But it was so wise. It was so humble. And I almost felt like, I felt blessed that you would take the opportunity to teach me about this. But real recognize real. It's like, you saw me, I saw you. You know what I mean? Well, you know, when you were talking, you told me about the instance of advocating for them to put an end to cash bail. This in Houston, correct?
Yeah.
And I was like, real recognize, real. Like, that's real. Like, hold up. That goes beyond just having a good job and doing this. Like, hold up. This man trying to change society. He's trying to lighten the load on, you know, incarcerated individuals that are already going through it. You know what I mean? Our first interaction where, you know, I met Mike. I think I came there, you know, I'm in the TCU locker room. A lot of dudes weren't messing with me because they were like, you know, they looked at me and, you know, maybe they were thinking like, oh, my job is on the line or something like that. Who knows, right? And he just came up to me. He saw me sitting by myself. I was confident this could be. And he's like, man, what's up, bro? And we just chopped it up. But he's the only one that came to holler at me. But then after you talk to me, everybody else, you know, he was a very admired and respected, you know, player on the team. So everyone was like, okay, this dude is cool. And then Rick, man, last but not least, bro, do you want to speak on our first interaction, bro? And we had
we actually had class together. So that's how I met CAYLIN.
Real recognized, real. Listen to this.
We're in Jacinto, just real quick. We're in Jacinto Ramos class. And it's an elective class. I think both of us were not even supposed to be there or whatever.
It's funny how y'all met in his class too.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we sat at opposite. Yeah.
Right?
So
Really?
it was like the first day, and we sat like opposite sides, right? He sat with the football players like in the back corner.
Kenny Hill,
Yeah.
Kyle Hicks,
Okay.
Poe was back there.
Yeah, it was a bunch of them, man. And I just sat on the corner, like by the door or something like that. And from what I recall, we were the only two that spoke during that class. Whenever Jacinto Ramos was asking questions at the end of class, I waited for him. I stopped by. I said, "Hey, man, I forgot what I said, but I stopped him. I said, what's your name?" Or I asked for
something
your
like that,
name
something
and
very
information. I said, where you going? It's like, oh, I'm about to head out to so and so. I was like, do you need a ride? Bro, I don't even know who he was. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, but I remember him speaking in class. I said, man, something's about, like, there's something great about him. Like, I sensed the greatness. I said, bro, I need to connect with this guy. And literally that I know is like, you know, Colin Moore. And that's how, there's no objective behind it, right? I was like, bro, this dude, he just sounds intelligent. You know what I'm talking about?
I think Rick was just trying to show off the Lincoln on 26.
I think
he was
that too.
He was sliding
Hey.
at that point.
He was driving that big body, man.
that big
Bumping that big body, dog.
Yeah.
Gotta let Fort Worth know Dallas was in town,
No,
dog.
for real, bro. But it goes back to that real recognize real.
Yeah.
We
And
from
in
a
his
subconscious
class.
level, yeah. I was like, bro, there's something about this dude.
And because you put me onto Jacinto Ramos
Mm.
because I didn't even know. Well, he like kind of because he was running for something, right? Like
the board.
The board, yeah.
But yeah, like I got to kind of know more about his story and everything. I'm like, that's a cool guy,
Solid
man.
dude, yeah.
And that's cool. Y'all in that class. That's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, but I don't know, man. It's almost like divine intervention if you
It
think about
is.
it, right?
But the
Yeah.
reason why I say it is, you know, real recognize real. But when you're staying genuine, you're intrinsically motivated. Those that are not real won't recognize you a lot of times. You know, that's what I'm trying to build up to. It's like,
Speak on that a little bit more.
sure. It's like you'll be going through different phases or different stages of your life, and the things you're doing, they can't understand your moves. You know, they're very skeptical of why you do what you do, when you do, you know, things of that nature. And a lot of times people get discouraged if somebody's not recognizing them. You know what I mean? But you have to maintain fidelity to the mission, you know, maintain fidelity to that intrinsic motivation that you have. And then those that are real will recognize you. But it's very hard to sift through all those that are not real, that don't recognize you, that don't see the vision. You know, that's everyone's story here, essentially, is that somebody didn't really see it. But a lot of times, if you're not mentally strong enough, you'll be like, yeah, maybe I should go do this other thing. Yeah, maybe they're right. And you give up. That's why a lot of times it's only a certain percentage that can, you know, kind of rise to the top.
That's why you almost got shot for going to college, right?
Oh yeah, man. I can
Talk
talk
about
about
we can transition into the book.
That's why
right?
he almost got.
We went straight.
I think that's bookmark.
Man, yeah, that is.
No, yeah. So real quick, right?
Okay,
so you have a
talk on
book,
that.
right?
Sure.
A Dream Too Big.
Yeah.
And I guess we were asking about
Finish
that.
your point, though. My bad. I didn't want to mean to cut
that
off.
was that was the end of it.
I don't want to kill your point.
No, that was the end of
So-
it. We can get straight to that.
Yeah, so
Really, it's,
So talk about it. So Nam,
Go ahead.
Nam actually
Yeah,
purchased,
yeah.
bro.
So I
Nam
actually-
purchased your book. Nam,
Yeah.
I remember real quick. Nam met you for the first time.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I hear Nam calling me. He's like, "Hey, bro, I'm here at Barnes and Nobles. Barnes and Nobles. I'm gonna buy his book." Bro, I kid you not. And then he has a favorite like chapter in the book.
yeah, so
yeah, speak on that, bro.
yeah,
We
bro.
never-
So
we never
like,
talked about
it's
this.
funny because I went to all the Barnes and Noble, right, and they have some and stuff, but they had to, you know, bring them in the inventory. But I went to the specific one out in Fort Worth, and me and DP, you know, y'all played together and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
Davion, you know, I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go buy Seymour's book and stuff, bro. I was like, yo, what? It's like, yeah, bro. You know, I just chopped it up with him. I remember he had a book and stuff, so I want to go dive deep into like his story. Like I know me and you chop it up,
Yeah.
but it's like it's going in depth about the person. You know, like it's more than a football player. It's more than the you know, the PhD. It's more than like all the degrees and stuff. So it's like as a person, like I want to know exactly like his mentality. Was he always like that growing up? You know, what shifted him to be like the best that he is right now, on why he do things. Like there's no reason for me to ask that. You only know that, right? But I went and purchased the book and stuff, man, and man, I downed that book like it was nothing. Cause
Really?
it was just,
And were you a big reader before that?
I was a big I barely started getting into books in like
I see.
2018ish and
Oh, I
stuff,
see.
and
So around that
I
time.
fell in love with books because it's like something about books. You're going to interview with the person that wrote that book. So me reading that, it was me talking to you in that form of like the whole storyline from
beginning when you were little, like all the way to where you were at, like your mission and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So every book that I pick up, there's always like, okay, I'm going into depth with the person that wrote that book. I'm having a conversation deeper in that book. So when I picked that book up, like I said, I downed it. You know what I'm saying? I went through the whole thing. I had changed my number. I call you. I guess you didn't recognize my new phone number, but I call you because I was laughing so hard because one of the chapters in the book was like, oh yeah, bro, I was trying to send out my application for these like colleges. And we only had one computer in the house, and it was at my grandma's. And my grandma was getting on me like, get off that computer and stuff. And I was like, Grandma, I really got to send this application out because it was a deadline. It was a deadline. Yeah, there's a time and stuff. And your grandma was like, I don't care about so-and-so college. Like she reckoned like man, like work with their hands. Yeah, real men working with their hands.
College.
Yeah, and like college, you know, I don't care about that. And in the book, he was almost like, yeah, my grandma's getting angrier and angrier, and then she like went and pulled out the 22, bro. Like I started laughing. I started laughing in that part of the book. But yeah, man, just you can talk.
Your grandma's country, right?
So no, that's my grandma. She's from South Oak Cliff.
Oh yeah,
now we know.
That's crazy. Speak on that. Speak on it a little bit more.
Yeah, man, sure. So
I feel like in the book, there's always been obstacles that could have prevented you from achieving what you were meant to achieve.
Right, man.
Even your grandma.
I wish you could have met me like when I was 16, 17. You would say like, man, this dude needs to laugh more. He needs to smile more. Like I was so serious, bro. You would have never met somebody that wanted to change their life so badly. And I think like that particular instance, I think all my grandma wanted to do is you know how old folks like to like do the online like gambling like they're not even putting money into it. It's just like clicking a button. You know what I mean, like the slides.
They were practicing
for Las Vegas or whatever. And she wanted to do that so bad, but I think she didn't quite understand, you know, who I could become or what I could become. That's what I'm talking about. Like real recognize real. She didn't recognize in me what I start to see in myself, right? So you know, it's when she said something like, oh, you think you're doing something because you're in the newspapers now, you're doing this in school or football. She's like, I got something to cut you down to size. And I already know she going to get that deuce. Yeah. And I remember it's funny.
Wow.
And I don't in all honesty, I don't think she would have shot me or something like that.
It
was like to intimidate me, like because she felt like maybe I've gotten bigger, maybe I'm not going to listen to her words. But it's like, I wasn't listening. I was rebelling because I wanted to apply to college. Like it was so important to me. Where typically I would be more obedient, I guess, but not on that day. And I just went to the garage where I slept. And man, I must admit, I actually cried because I was so sad. Because my thought was this: it's like a lot of times, you know, people have certain stereotypes about people that come from these environments, right? They don't want to work, they don't want to study, whatever it is, right? And what made me sad is like, man, like imagine my grandma had shot me or something like that, or like you know, take the actual instance that I couldn't apply to those colleges. At the end of the day, somebody will think like, oh yeah, people from this neighborhood, they just don't want it. And they don't know all the obstacles that somebody had to go through. And I cried because I couldn't even apply to those colleges. And, you know, thank God I actually, you know, I did get in, you know, I'm where I am today, you know, but at the same time, my heart mourns for, you know, those many youth that actually try to make that change, try to, you know, I remember my cousin told me a story. It's my cousin Lauren. He told me a story. This is like the reality. He took AP class, you know, advanced placement class. You know, you get an extra, you know, college credit if you take the placement test. He took the AP class. I want to say it was sign language maybe or something like that. And he could speak sign language. He's now a nurse, right? But what ended up happening is that when it came time to take the AP exam, he didn't have enough money to pay for the AP exam. So he took the whole sequences of courses, couldn't get the credit. Couldn't afford to take the AP exam. And I was like, wow, see, that's something you'll never think about. Like, so when he applies to the college, it's like, he, you know, where other person would have like 9 credits, 21 credits, and, you know, from taking all these AP classes, he took AP classes, couldn't afford to take any of the tests for it. You know what I mean? But that's not the story you're going to hear about it. You know,
I used to pay for my tests in quarters.
So you know about that.
I took all AP too, bro. I used to pay for that shit. And
Yeah.
I had coins. I used to save coins.
You talking about actual coins?
Yeah.
Man.
This man had
See,
to.
they don't.
How do you make money when you're like a teenager? Like, you know, I did have a job, but that shit, I worked at Ponchos, brother. They give you nothing, bro. You got a $5 tip for the whole day.
Oh,
Ponchos
really?
buffet.
I was like, man, fuck.
Yeah, and so like going like deep into like the book, I want to stay in that to cover it a little bit. Like it was so deep because like it made me go into like how you were thinking and the transition of like ages. Like it wasn't just like a jump straight into the mode like I'm Kylan Moore now. Like, oh, I don't know, wait, what? Like, no, you like took me into like a time lapse. Like, oh, I'm gonna take you to where I'm from. Like so and so, my parents, we have this, and this. In the story, everything talks about in the book. And I was like, oh, it made me like, wait, what? It's like, yeah. Then I realized we moved to the hood. We moved to Compton.
Yeah.
It's like out here in the hood, you know, kids out here, they had to make like adult decisions.
Yeah.
That's what you talked about. I was like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, kids here, like from so and so, like kids, we had to like grow up a little bit faster to make adult decisions. I'm like, damn, man, that's crazy. I just like, I'm in like deep, just reading. I'm like, so you're telling me like young Kylan was like 9, he's already 21 making decisions, 21-year-old. Like I'm just thinking, right? In my head, I'm like, in that one sentence, you know what I'm saying? Like kids making adult decisions. I was like, wow.
You just taught me something, because it's funny. I remember when I first went to college, it was so strange. It was kind of hard to understand my fellow classmates. Like for one, they called them kids. I couldn't understand, like kids. They were always, and for me, it's like they adults. I mean, you're an adult much earlier than that. They 18, 19, 20, 21. They would call themselves or call one another kids and whatnot. And you're right. It's just such a huge chasm, such a huge difference between kind of how you have to think in order to survive, to do well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I say this, man. Like, have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? Right. It's like
every day.
Okay.
Sometimes it hits it tries to fool you every day, bro.
Okay. So let me speak on imposter syndrome. And this is and I say this with the utmost humility. Up to this point, I've been completely immune.
Hey man, teach me.
I still haven't caught it. I will. I'm gonna explain why. I haven't caught that joint. I have not caught it, right? But I can empathize with it. And when people think about talk about imposter syndrome, I listen. I incline my ear because I want to hear their perspective. You know what I mean? Because it's foreign to me. It sounds like a bad technique. You know what I mean? Like to go through the world and kind of feel like you don't belong or you're not supposed to be there. It doesn't sound like good technique, but it's like, let me listen to their strategy of getting through the world or whatever, right? But imposter syndrome, it's like imposter syndrome, the very syndrome itself, or the social syndrome, whatever, it's predicated on, you know, let's say you're on a college campus, it's predicated on you thinking that you should belong and there should be a space for you. I know I don't belong. I know without a shadow of a doubt I'm not supposed to be here. You know what I mean? The things that I've seen, the things that I've been through. Oh, I know. My name was, you know what I mean? My name was not written on one of these cards to be here. I had to force my way into this door, create my own door. You know what I mean? So I come in already thinking that, right? So that makes me miss the imposter syndrome. And it inspires me because a lot of people say, wow, you don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you're supposed to be there. No, I'm inspired by that fact. And I'll tell you why I'm inspired. Because I dare somebody to go back to where I started from and start there and try to make it here. I'm gonna tell you for a fact, I know they couldn't do it. You know why I know they couldn't do it, Rick? Man, I couldn't do that again. Yo, Mike, that was hard, bro. That was hard,
like,
bro.
trying to go back.
I couldn't do it again, bro.
Everything you had to overcome, you like.
No, that was difficult. I don't think I could do it again. Send me back. I don't know if I could do it again, bro. It was kind of hard. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the easiest, right?
Yeah.
So by the, you know, in honor of the fact that I've been able to make it here, man, I'm inspired. It's like, man, I must be, you know what I mean? I can't feel like an imposter. You know what I mean? All the, like, what it took to get here, it's like, man, it's for sure a place for me at this place. 'Cause it was almost impossible. You know, that's why it's the improbable journey. But go ahead now.
Yeah, so, and he was talking about, like that stuff was hard. Like, I can't go back and do it again because it was so hard, right? It's true, because everything that he talked about in that book, bro, like, this dude right here was like, he had to like earn his spot to go to school because he had gang members in the book. He had to like take different routes to get, bro, he had to take different routes to go to school. Like, this is what you want. Boom, we got some gang right here. Like, you got to be careful what you're saying. Like, you living in the hood. But it's like, for me, I was like, damn, bro. Like talking about hardship, talking about environment, talking about persistent. Like this, all this man was trying to do is get a like his education right. Like all he want is like, bro, I'm just trying to go to school. Like I ain't want nothing. Yeah. He already see what's going around. It's like, okay, it was simple. And then I'm talking about exposure. He was already exposed. Like, all right, this is what everybody's doing. He didn't want to do that. All he wanted to do is like, all right, bro, I'm gonna go get my degree. You know what I'm saying? My paper, and you know what I'm saying, from there. But it's like, damn, bro, he had to go through that, but he had like these obstacles and stuff. So like, I think the number one thing that I take away from it too was they persistent, bro. Like, how do you stay so persistent? Like, there's like levels of it. Like, you stay so persistent with things, and it's crazy because like I seen it. Like, I'm like, yo, how? And I was like, I don't ask the how. I was like, let me go ask him. In that book, it's so deep because like there's so much level that you had to overcome. And I'm like, how do you stay persistent? How do you keep your faith so strong? How do you keep going?
Man.
So, well, to piggyback on that,
yeah, please.
What I think is like, it builds calluses, right? So everything you guys been through, it has built calluses. So whatever obstacle, the next obstacle is not as bad if you're facing it, right? Because now you've had some bruises. It's like the you don't want to be a knight shining armor, right? You want to come in that what dense bruises, right? Because it's like he's been through battle. So I think that's like just kind of piggyback what Nan was saying. It's like it's never easy. There's always going to be another challenge that you know, represents itself or you know, comes across the obstacle. But what really makes the difference is the calluses you guys have built throughout the time that makes it. It's like, you know what? Why not? For example, why not try to be a professor and get my degree at Stanford? Why not try to, you know, get my PhD at Rice University, coming from Ohio, stuff like that. So,
bro, can I throw something up? Thank you for saying that. For your piggyback and the persistence piece. I thought about it because it's hard to answer for yourself something that's just intrinsic to you. It's like, let's say, can you draw?
No,
you can't draw at all, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Horrible.
Like,
just letting everybody know.
It'll get worse. This is the worst dude. You don't want him to draw anything.
No, hold on, but he know how to draw the Island Boys though, right?
Oh, Island Boys. He needs that fade. That's what. That's the biggest thing. No, but let's imagine that you could draw something like that, right? It's like somebody that could do something very well. It's almost hard to like get in their head and ask them like, how do you do that? Because they almost feel to a certain degree that it kind of comes natural to them, right? But I had to think about it. It's like, like I've been quite persistent for a long time. Like I can remember like when I was in second grade, for example, I'm 7 years old. And I remember these stories because I was spending a lot of time thinking. A lot of people don't know I used to have a speech impediment. I stuttered really, really badly. Wow. So I never talked all the way. I want to say maybe until I was like, until I was about 10, I just wouldn't speak. I'll just be super quiet. I never would speak. So think about that. That's 10 years of observing, like soaking everything up. Because if I spoke, you don't want to get laughed at because you're stuttering or whatever the case is. So I just wouldn't speak, right? But I remember, I remember these little stories a lot because I spent a lot of time thinking. When I was in second grade, we had a spelling bee. A spelling bee is like, you know, it's a competition. You got to get out there, spell the words correctly. And I ended up, I received the spelling bee packet of words, and like I wanted to win that spelling bee so bad. Like my mom didn't even know we had a spelling bee. It's like I wanted to, you know, I was intrinsically motivated and I was persistent. I studied every night. If the power went out, I literally studied at least on 3 occasions by candlelight. I remember that specifically. Right. Candle right here. I'm sitting in the bed with 3 or 4 other people, like reading those spelling bee words every day. And I didn't win a spelling bee, but I took second place. I took second. For me, I was like winning. I would say to this day, that's my biggest accomplishment. Wow. Because what it taught me is like, I can put my mind to something, work hard, be persistent, believe in myself, and something good can happen. And that second place spelling bee trophy is like one of the biggest accomplishments. But the reason I talk about that is like, what will make somebody that motivated, that have that perspective? And you know, I always used to say it's a mindset. It's a mindset, right? And sometimes those words, it rings hollow. It's like, yeah, what mindset, right? But it's like, it's a mindset. Like, how can you do this? Wait, bro, you going to do this? Or hold up, I just saw you doing this. How did you do that? Well, you on TV? It's a mindset. It's like how you think. But I was talking with my brother Chase, and he was telling me about like some scientific facts about it. So there's just something called the reticular activating system,
reticular activating system. When you hear reticular, think retina, you know, like your eye, right? So what he was explaining is, and please don't quote me, the reticular activating system more or less is like, it's a part of your brain that, you know, that guides like, that transitions like the thoughts that you have to like what you see, like actually like in the world. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you wanted to buy a Challenger or a Charger, right? Or let's say you actually bought a Challenger or a Charger. Then out of nowhere, you start seeing it all around the city. You know what I'm talking about? Are you thinking about a car? Now you see that car all the time.
Yeah.
That's the reticular activating system at work, right? That's a salient example, right? So basically, if you with this system, it's extremely powerful. So more or less, let's say you think of yourself in your brain as stupid, ugly, whatever it is, this negative quality. And then you start to see that. You look at the mirror, you see somebody that's ugly. You get a bad grade on the test and you're like, well, that's because I don't belong here anyway. I am stupid. You know what I mean? The reticular activating system. Or on the flip side, and this is the part that people are scared to take this dive over the ledge to actually do it like this. If you see yourself, man, I'm smart. Man, it's such a blessing that I'm here. I have a lot to contribute to this organization or whatever the case is. You start to see that when you get the feedback, you're like, yep, that confirms it. Yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I'm doing my thing. Or yeah, of course I got an A on that because I'm, you know, or whatever the case is. Or like, man, I'm looking good today. You know what I mean? It's a good out or whatever it is. But a lot of times people don't do that. So it's truly a mindset, even from a scientific perspective. And I think that type of mindset, I mean, that's how my mom thought. Like, that's how she talked. You know, we were living, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. We were sleeping 4 to a bed, and she would still like talk about these amazing things that we could do or amazing things that have been done in society and how we could be a part of that. So it's like we almost didn't even focus on what we saw with our, you know, with our eyes, with our retina. It was like more about what we can imagine, what we could be, and then we start dreaming beyond that. And before you know it, you get the opportunity, you start to make it happen, you start to manifest it.
Did a lot of people not like your mom?
It's funny, man. I can't. So her brothers and sisters,
they didn't like
I can't
her?
say no. It's not that they didn't like her. I think my mom made them a little uncomfortable. For how she ran things and how she did things.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, why don't you just let them go do that? Or she wouldn't just let us do any old thing. And I
didn't mean it like in a bad way. I mean like people
No.
that like that are that like to see a beautiful future. A lot of people don't like you.
They don't. Yeah.
They
It
want you to
bothers
stay
them.
average.
That's so true. It bothers them. Like, how dare you think like that? Like, it's bad around here. How you gonna start thinking like that?
Because they're opposing their will or like their own self onto you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they couldn't do it. How could
Projecting.
you? How could a little 12-year-old,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Try to
Absolutely.
achieve massive success.
But hey,
They didn't like her.
one day, because I know that's happened to me. It's probably happened to everyone in this room, bro. Like we're like, oh, how do you? Oh, you're too ambitious. Why do you think like that?
Yeah.
Bro,
Well, I
that
stay
same
away from people
situation
like that.
with
Yeah, me
that
too.
talk
That
like
same
that.
situation with the gun. I remember one time, one of my mom's cousins. Well, I think he's like my uncle or something.
Okay.
He was a truck driver and he stopped by the house. He was in a route and my mom, made him some food and we were talking about just catching up.
Yeah.
I was 19. I told him what I was doing. I'm going to school studying film.
Yeah.
He was like, in Spanish, he was like, no, he's like, what? Wait, you're on computers? That's gay.
Oh, how do you say it in Spanish?
He was like, no, hombre, eso es de jotos. Oh, ponte,
my
ponte
God.
en los, because he was like,
Wow.
nah, my son, I'm gonna make him. His son was like 14 at the
Yeah.
time. He was, I'm gonna make my son study diesel mechanic. That's what he's gonna
Wow.
do. That's a man job. That's some
Masculine.
gay shit. You're up to some gay. I was like,
Wow.
hey, shout out to the LGBT community. You know, like I don't see many of them doing film either, bro. But shout out to them, like, nah, but like, I'm saying, but like, I was like, I didn't even like, I just saw it as funny because I was blessed with like just like seeing things as just funny.
Yeah.
Some other
Humor,
person would have
this
took
is-
that to
yeah.
heart.
Right.
Because when he was saying that, I was like, what the fuck?
Where is
Yeah.
this coming from?
What's that to
Where-
do with
where-
my
what is
sexuality?
your
Yeah.
mindset?
And then I called my cousins, and then we were just like, I told him what he said, and like
Exactly.
we were just roasting him. And every time we see him, we just roast him.
Yeah.
And like roast him behind his back because he
Yeah.
beat my ass.
Oh, you put hands on you?
bro.
Yeah.
You got the hands.
Speak on that, Mike.
Like,
I'm my uncle. Nah, but
I feel like everybody has always had that
everybody-
person, and it can come in as
someone that's
worse.
trying to fool us into not thinking we can be like a little bit like better than what we're used to seeing,
can
bro.
come from teachers,
undermine
it
your
can come-
masculinity, you know, and saying, "Oh, you shouldn't."
Are
do
we all
this.
like? Are you like a first? Like, I know. I'm a first generation, like, you know, college grad, or like just that went to college.
Yeah.
And whatnot. You.
Same. Yeah.
Like, I feel like
I'm actually not. My mom went to. So this is a good story about her. My mom, her parents, like I said, were from the South. Her dad's from Tennessee. Her mom's from Dallas. I don't think my grandmother graduated college to my recollection. Maybe she did like a 1-year nursing program at a junior college. But my mom was the oldest of like 1, 2, 3, like 5 or 6 siblings. So she said, I'm gonna go to college to show all, you know, my younger siblings an example. So yeah, we did. Despite the fact that we grew up in poverty, my mom was a college graduate.
So like, do you think
My
that
father wasn't.
Do you think that like your mom is like your hero and stuff? Because like everything, I like to tap into the book because it's so like just deep and stuff, right? And like she been through like just shallowing you guys in the positive, thinking positive.
Right.
Being in an environment can like break you or raise you and stuff, right? But like being in like transition, because like I'm seeing like all the good part, how you saying like you notice that, bro. You like, and that's crazy because you was a kid still, but you noticed that transition. Like, yo, how come like, you know, I opened the cooler and you know what I'm saying? Like you notice all the transition and you're like, okay, so, but like your mom was just like kind of like the backbone, you know, still holding it down and always having that positivity instilling into you guys and stuff. So do you think that that's your hero and stuff?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like that's where I know for a fact it's a mindset. Bro, can you tell that story? Remember that you were playing the piano and you said it really stood out to you the way she described it. Like you
right. So I've kind of been self-taught, you know, teaching myself how to play the piano since about my junior year at TCU, right? So this was towards the beginning when I've been with a couple months into playing, maybe 2 months, right? All I know is the C major scale. That's it. But I had come up with some little, you know, pattern recital type thing that sounded pretty good. And I had been working on it, and I never met CAYLIN's mom. He's like, yo, you know, my mom's coming into town, you know. After connecting with CAYLIN, learning about his life, it's just like, man, I'm so excited to meet these people, right? So we were in some annex building next to the on-campus apartments at TCU. And I was just like, all right, I'm about to display, you know, my confidence. I'm about to put myself in the position to potentially fail, but to see how confident I am and what I'm going to do. And I've been practicing that piano thing. Like I've been stayed up the night before a little bit. Just like, I'm finna show his mom this.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So his mom's in there and I meet his mom. And I was like, I have something for you. Like I came up with this thing on the piano and I want to play it for you. So she's like, okay. So it's like, you know, you sit down, you know, pressure's on, you know, it wasn't hot in there, but you know, the imaginary sweat drips, take a deep breath and just let it fly. You know, I hit a couple incorrect notes and whatnot. And, you know, I played it all the way through. I felt a little embarrassed, but you know, I played it all the way through. And I got done and I felt kind of like embarrassed / ashamed. Like, man, you're going to come here and, you know, play this piece and you messed it up. Or like, you know, how embarrassing. I'm in front of his, you know, his friend and his mom and his family. And I just, you know, had this thing I wanted to share, but like I messed it up, right? I turn around and I just kind of look at her and she's gazing up as if she's just gazing up in the cloud. And she's like, wow, that just reminded me of some, like, it makes me think of like, you know, Japanese blossoms just floating, you know, and some lily pads and a frog. And I was just like, is this lady playing? Is she like making fun of me in the street?
Nah, she's serious. Like she's serious.
And you know, the same way, like I kind of recognized CAYLIN for kind of like who he was in the beginning, but you know, folks thought CAYLIN was this or that.
They think
like,
I'm playing around.
right?
I was like, I'm
they
serious.
thought he was playing around, but in that same way, I thought for a second, it's just like after knowing CAYLIN and seeing that aspect in him, and then seeing how he thinks and him saying how impactful his mother was in his life, especially in how she, you know, imbued them to be like visionaries in a certain type of way. That was the first time I think I really felt that in a certain type of way. Of course, I've had people, you know, pour into me and let me know like, you know, my vision is powerful and to have a vision. But that, like I specifically messed up. Like I give myself a 3 out of 10. But this lady is giving me a 15 out of 10. And that did something to me in a certain type of way because it let me know like, you know, if I'm gonna apply myself to something, or even if I'm not at an expert level, seeing the world and what I'm doing that way can really motivate and change the whole process of what I could even become and what's possible.
She's an eternal optimist.
Right. And
To
I
the
think
point of delusion, I would say almost like my mom on the
You have to be delusional, bro.
she on the extreme end of
the
the
thing is-
spectrum,
but the
man.
thing
But
is-
it's you need
Delusional
people
is just the word.
Yeah,
It's
it
just the
is.
word, bro. Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
people like that. You really do.
But
Right?
check it out, right? So that was so many years ago, but
Mhm.
I've had opportunities with people on major, you know, music labels.
Yeah.
Now through my piano skills,
What?
so it's just like,
Wow, yeah. That's so
you know,
true.
back then if I was something like, nah, I don't play the piano, I'm not good, I messed up. But no, your mom,
that confidence she put into.
yeah, she reinforced my confidence and literally steered me away without even telling me don't think like that. She didn't even say that.
like that.
She steered me away from that line of thinking where I don't see myself as worthy or I'm not good. And she, instead of, you know, treating me in that way, she built me up in another type of way. And it's really ironic, really funny, because now, you know, I can play the piano pretty well. I like to the point where folks on, you know, major music labels have asked me, yo, send me some stuff. And it's just like, I just laugh because it's just like,
She sparked a light in you,
Yeah.
bro. Like you
Right.
never know who's gonna do that to you. When, where, how. you
Right.
know?
Or when you could do that to someone
for
else.
someone else.
You don't
and that-
ever.
yeah.
Yes.
That's so true,
yes.
man. That's so
Yeah.
true. And that's another point I'd like to say too, and we don't think enough about this or critically enough. Is like self-confidence. Like people's self-confidence, collective self-confidence is pretty low, I would guess.
Yeah.
I would assume at least.
Right.
And like building up self-confidence in like a genuine way, it's like it should be a priority. I think it's a really
Yeah.
good thing to start from a young age. If you late to the game and your self-confidence not there, you know, doing those little micro, you know, whatever it is to get your self-confidence up is so important. Because that's one thing I would say, like, yeah, like, oh, we grew up poor, like, you know, are the things that are discussed in the book. But as I've learned, as I've grown, it's like, no, but like, you know, I didn't have a mom that undermined my self-confidence. Like
You were always rich, bro.
you could have somebody that financially speaking was extremely wealthy. Their mom or their dad or their grandma or whoever undermines their self-confidence every single day. I'm gonna beat them in every single thing that we have to do together.
Right.
Because I've had somebody that's built up and bolstered my self-confidence over many years, while they have someone that's completely torn it down. Even if they're able to, you know, get a perfect SAT or whatever it is, you know, at some point I'll pass them up, or you know, or vice versa. They would pass me up if my self-confidence wasn't intact. That's a big thing.
And I think it's vital to like keep the momentum going, right?
Yeah,
People
yeah,
think,
yeah.
oh, you experienced this one little obstacle,
That's the
then
hard part.
that's it. Like, nah, your self-confidence is always going to be tested. That's why it's important to like keep feeding it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
So, like,
absolutely.
bro, you know how crazy like it sounds like for us to like before we even got this place to like, hey, we're gonna create a podcast up in here. There's gonna be a studio where we're gonna have all these cameras and like, bro, people were like, yo, you crazy.
We
You know,
walked,
but
in
the
here
self-confidence was so high. I remember meeting Hector. I was like, Hector, we were driving and I was like, Hector, like this is Latino, right? So like, can you name any Latino agencies? And he was like, I can think of one or two. I'm like, here in Dallas. I'm
The
like,
one I'm at.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, there's not that many. I can't count more than 5. I said, what would it take? I remember this like, you know, yesterday. What would it take? He goes, I don't know, man. I think it'll take a team and some equipment, you know, lights. This, I said, bet. And I remember that. And then it's like, I kept that and like, cause the confidence was like, all right, that's what it'll take. And then little by little start purchasing 1 camera, 2 cameras, a lens, then got into a studio, what an agency would have, right?
Wow, yeah.
You know, surrounding myself with a good team.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like, bro, it's like literally without even realizing it, it's kind of like an agency, right?
Wow.
But it's that self-confidence. It's like
Yeah.
to
Right,
dare
to make it
to
happen.
even do something crazy
Yeah.
like that, right? And it's like, it doesn't stop there. When I said, hey, bro, we're going to build a podcast and we're going to make it look right.
Yeah.
And we're going to make this one of the best podcasts in Dallas ever.
in the city.
For real. And that we're going to put Dallas on and
Yeah.
be like, ain't no podcast representing their city.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it ties back into that self-confidence where you have to have it, because if not, people, they'll always be there to like, they'll be there to quickly tear it down. Hey, you did, like, for example, like, if that's why it's so important for y'all to finish the PhD, because
Yeah,
if not,
right.
there's more. I mean, no, excuse my language, but there's motherfuckers waiting. Man, I knew he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
That's so funny
They're
because
waiting for that one thing.
That's so funny because, like, and I know you had asked me this question a little earlier, but I'm gonna circle back around. Like, speaking on people that's there to like pull me down. And it's just like, I'm going to generalize and get to the point that we're at now, but like, there's always been that person from day one. And I mean, specifically for me, like, I'm one of the few African Americans in a predominantly white suburb. And, people don't have a particular liking to me for many reasons. And unfortunately, a lot of that sometimes was due to my skin color. I can't control that, or just the other, things people might not like. But in the midst of all that, whatever, I endeavored to do, many times it's somebody that's always trying to pull you down, that, everybody's supposed to get this. But let me, twist Michael's up a little bit and hand him somewhat of a mystery of something to figure out in the hopes that, you doesn't, achieve X, Y, Z. And it's just like, it's funny because there's always been that person. But I think like you for sure, you and you, even though I just met you, I know, because real recognize real.
Yeah.
That
You look familiar.
That is, yeah, you look familiar. That has never deterred, even when it is serving as a deterrent. We get past that. We work through that. We handle that. We deal with that. And it's just so funny because, like, like you said, you asked the question, what, Hispanic, Latino agencies do you see out here? I don't know, maybe one. Y'all making it happen. And on that journey, people are going to...
Who he with?
Yeah, who he with? It's me. And it's funny because sometimes people, when you answer that question, that they challenge or, question your validity, they don't see you for who you are. But it takes until after everything happens, like, damn, that person was the trailblazer. That person was the person, like, after they did this, everybody's following their footsteps. And it's just like, you didn't have the wisdom to see that I was this person, from the beginning. And that's, we talked about the importance of vision, or, having folks pour into just having a positive mindset and that self-confidence and building that self-confidence. It all, relates to one another, but especially on that point of people doubting, because there's always going to be that person. Like you said, we're going to finish these PhDs and we're not going to just, measly just barely cross the finish line. We're going to do this with some grace, with some elegance, with some stilo.
Y'all doing it with some swag. Y'all doing it with some swag. Like, what's up?
Bro, I'm going to be honest, man. Imagine walking into a class, right? And your professor got dreads on, bro. You already, come on, man.
How's everyone doing? I'm Professor Moore. Please pull out. Man, I'm hyped. Bro, what, the thing you just said, bro.
Dr. Moore.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Dr. Moore. Thank you very much, sir. The thing you just said, I laughed. Like, so when you said like the oh man, they didn't finish, I knew they couldn't do it. Like, my immediate reaction was to laugh, and then I immediately got pissed. Cause some people go think that
we're in the best time to be alive to be doubted, bro.
Yeah,
the best time to be doubted and all that shit.
Exactly. I laughed because it's hilarious, and then I got pissed. Like, I felt like that.
It's like that switch. You know what I'm saying?
You, right?
You know that feeling you feel right before you about to get into a fight. You know what I mean? It's like this feeling like, oh yeah, we finna. It's like it go down. It's like you kind of just boom, your heart rate drop. And you like, oh yeah, it's finna, it's scrap time. Like,
that push, bro.
About to step off into this
quote unquote successful, bro. It gives you that push, man. Like,
and let me say this real quick. It transitioned from the anger, like being pissed, to like a motivation. It's like, oh, they'll never say that about me, not me. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, okay. Like, I don't know, something about that. It's like, I'm gonna go find my little planner, my schedule, and turn that into something.
Some people use that same energy though to fall into those excuses though. Oh, they're doubting me. Man, fuck that, man. I'm gonna go get whatever. I'm gonna go catch a case or some bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was important to build that calluses.
That switch, bro. That we gotta train our people, bro. Like our own, like your family, your close circle, to change that energy into something that can push you forward. Because
so not making an excuse or like,
it's easier, but we have all the excuses to make, bro. Like, we have so many. It's so easy to just like fall off, bro.
And that's why I hate to interrupt you, but I really gotta highlight this point. And I think that's the like what he said about intrinsic motivation. Like, think about the spelling bee example.
Like, it's so simple as a spelling bee.
It's significant, right? But that's something small. That's something that mattered to him.
7 years old.
That mattered to him as a person. So, you talk about, people have that energy and they do something, wrong with it, right? But it's just like, if you get yourself to start small, challenge yourself, and it's really important to have those battles of endeavoring to do something out of one's own intrinsic motivation, because you get your first win, And like you said, it changed your mindset.
Yeah.
You think it's vocabulary?
Early on.
You think, you know how you said intrinsic motivation? I've never heard that word before, bro.
Okay, intrinsic motivation
Very
is
smart dude right here, man.
intrinsic motivation means that the motivation
Internal.
comes
Yeah.
from yourself internally versus, like, for example,
Somebody else
if I
hyping you
wanted
up.
to read this book, or if I want to read this book, it shouldn't necessarily be because Hector, Rick, Nam, and KAYLIN told me to. It's, you know, I heard something about this book, and, you know, something out of my own volition or something inside of me compelled me to do this.
Right. Not a
Kinda
homework assignment.
Yeah, not a
Making you
homework
go-
assignment. Like, I would go in my free time, get in the library, sit in wherever I'm gonna sit off in the corner, focus up and read this book by myself. Nobody has to tell me to do it. Nobody has to, hey, I'll give you $50 if you read this. I'll take you to Pizza Hut. You know, they used to do little things, punching the little stickers on your reading card, get some pizza. Like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I want to do this for myself because inside of me, there's something that's attracting me, compelling me to do this because it's important to me in a certain way.
We need to have, see, because you know how you said intrinsic motivation, right? I never heard that word. I mean, I think I've heard it here and there, this and that, but I feel like vocabulary and intention of our words is important because somebody might be like, they don't know the word and they be like, I'm just a dork. I'm just a square, or I'm delusional. You're not delusional. You're ambitious. You are a goal seeker. I feel like vocabulary is important, especially for like young people, bro.
Right.
Like, you know, like, if I, once I become, you know, like in the billions, bro,
Yeah.
even soon, bro, I'm gonna have a Thesaurus Tuesdays.
I like that.
At the I'm opening a coffee shop in a few years, probably like a year or two,
Okay.
less than a year maybe. And I want to have things like that, bro, for like vocabulary or like just
love
for
it.
the youth, bro.
Right.
Absolutely. I love that. I
No,
love when people
Delusional
explain the
Tuesdays
vocabulary.
and all.
You
You
got
know,
to.
like.
Well, you
gotta
got somebody
love
got
it,
to
yeah.
start it, right?
I love that.
So it's like,
Can I just talk about this? Because y'all know you were talking about like people thinking you're delusional or this and that. Like, or like we were on that subject earlier. It's a quick story, man. Just to piggyback on that. 2017, man.
2017.
You know, I do stand up, and we were trying to do a show.
Yeah.
None of these clubs, like we were talking about validation, like none of these clubs were like they wouldn't ever give me a chance to perform, and like at my own show. So-
he does comedy on Sunday.
yeah. So like, I got with some homies, and we're like, yo, let's do our own show. Let's do it in Oak Cliff, you know, for our own people, because these shows aren't gonna give us an opportunity. None of it.
right.
Like, they're not giving opportunities to people that look like us, bro. Like, so we went and got the Texas Theater. Texas Theater's in Oak Cliff on Jefferson. That's where they found like Lee Harvey Oswald after he shot
Really?
Kennedy.
Right.
Historic theater. Anyways, it fits like 655 people in there. And once we took a little tour, we were like, okay, so we're gonna go to Michael's. And because this is how we thought of ourselves at the time, we're gonna go to Michael's and we're gonna get some black tarp and we're gonna cover like the whole like almost all the seats, so it won't look like it's empty on camera.
Oh.
We're gonna cover and we're gonna leave like 70 seats open,
Right.
so it can look like we got a packed house. And we started talking about the show to people, bro. There wasn't enough seats for people were sitting in the middle across the walls.
Wow.
It was like 700 plus people to see us tell jokes, bro. Some amateurs.
Wow.
Some amateurs, bro.
Wow.
But the thing is, like, that delusion hit like a week before the show. We were like, nah, bro, we're not gonna cover the seats, bro. Let's just leave them open, bro.
Yeah.
If we have them open, they might fill up. We did all the moves right to get them filled up, bro. Because we were delusional, bro. We were delusional. Like,
Well,
nah,
you
bro,
got,
we
you got to
fill
be
that
to a
thing
certain
up.
It's
extent, right?
possible. We can
That's
make
what
it
I'm saying.
happen. Even though, yeah.
And it all ties back with a
Delusional.
dream too big, right? Like, what is a dream? Something that hasn't manifested yet. And you're trying to manifest it,
Yeah.
right?
Big facts.
But yeah, man. We're like an hour and a half, I think, in.
Oh,
I know you
man.
got like,
We having a good time.
yeah,
man.
and that's what I'm saying. I know you guys got a tight schedule.
Man, I'll be back on, bro.
Yo.
Know that's a fact, man. This episode 1 with me in here.
Oh man, I
Facts.
feel you. I
So,
feel you.
as well,
Real
I'm-
quick, how can they get in contact?
Oh man, they can get in contact. Follow me, Instagram, Twitter at CAYLIN CAYLIN L Moore. Yeah, check me out.
Michael?
For sure, and you know, I definitely love to be back again. You know, I'm only 4 hours away in Houston, down at Rice, so it's really cool y'all got this going on, and I support this, what y'all got going. You know,
Yeah,
110%.
Numbers,
so.
man.
But
Yeah.
folks can reach me on Instagram and on Twitter. A little bit less active on Twitter, but that's Mike _A_Carroll, and that's CARROLL. So tap in.
Man, I feel you. Any last thoughts, real quick?
Man, just thankful to be here to sit down and chop it up with you brothers, man. This has been a long time coming. I'm looking forward to next time we sit down. And do
We
this
haven't
again.
even covered. Like
It's
we just scratched the surface,
not the
man.
surface, man.
Nah, but extremely grateful. Now,
A lot of good sound bites.
Oh, for real, big time, bro.
Cut them joints.
And people
up.
need to see people like yourselves on a podcast
Yeah, man.
saying certain.
Have you been
information.
on? You've been on podcasts before?
I
right?
have, but
Okay,
never.
cool.
I've never had the opportunity to really sit down and hash it out like this because it
Oh,
started
cool.
like during the pandemic. So
Right.
it should be virtual.
So it was like
via
via Zoom or something.
yeah, things
been
like
on a
that,
pod?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been on a couple podcasts as well, but like this is totally different. A different
Cool.
fashion, different kind of setup.
And it's just got Oak Cliff just written all over. It's just different.
It's that Dallas.
It's
That's
just
that
different,
Dallas
you know
right
what I
there.
mean?
We're in South Dallas right now, but hey, bro, by way of
Now we trying to put the city on, man. That's
Yeah.
literally what we're gonna do.
That's it.
Interview the best people in here or whoever come through Dallas, right?
If I ever cut my hair, man, I'm gonna give me a shag.
You
You ever
stop,
seen that?
bro.
Dallas shag?
Bro.
I seen
Give me a South Dallas shag, man. I swear, man. Like
Shag.
Yellow
what's
Beezy's
the-
gonna be
what's the-
after you,
Bro,
bro.
you know I was on the airplane with him one time.
Well, Yellow
man.
Busy?
Yeah,
Speak on that real
was.
quick. Like,
Speak on-
yeah.
Man, I saw him. I mean, I didn't know his music at the time. I didn't know, but I just noticed. I was like, man, he
You
got
saw the
that.
shag.
Yeah, I was like, he got that speed bump back there. Like I didn't know.
You said his
I
speed
didn't know
bump.
how- Yeah, bro. It was this dude was seasick, bro. He had so much waves. I swear, bro. Bro was
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
bro. Had that South Dallas shag.
the
that
shag,
speed bump.
yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, they a little different out here, man.
That speaks
But yeah,
well.
bro.
That's
Yeah,
Dallas
yeah,
for you,
yeah.
man.
Shag.
Man, but Nam, anything? I think that
Nah,
should
man,
wrap it up.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm thankful to have you guys here, man. Y'all like episode 1, you know, having just 2 like explosive, bro. It's gonna be explosive. Like,
Yo,
these dudes,
yeah. Matter of fact, this is actually gonna be the official first episode that's published. Like,
Oh,
going
great.
forward.
Yeah.
yeah.
How
Yeah,
you doing,
I'm
bro?
glad,
Yeah,
bro.
that's-
I'm glad we had this conversation. It really it was really motivating, bro. It's really giving that extra push on. There's other people like just on that journey to be
Yeah,
great
bro.
and like just
We
know.
young, you know what I mean? We got
Yeah.
youth on our side. What did
Right.
Kendrick Lamar
Not
say?
even 30
He
yet,
said, "I'm
no.
thirsty for success and I drink from the youth fountain."
Ooh.
You know what I mean? That's from
Yeah.
Kendrick. That's
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
But
Alright. But yeah, fellas, I appreciate it, man.
absolutely,
Thank you.
Off the
Yeah.
top.
Definitely great.
Yeah.
We
Back,
appreciate
man. Numbers,
that,
man. We
Go
out.
buy that butt.
Yeah.
Make sure you pick up that book with that deuce.
Man.
It's funny. Another thing too. My grandma, she used to. Man, what do you call it?
That was solid, bro.
Oh, that's good. That's so LA, man.
Yeah, bro.
Man, LA, like on New Year's, I don't know if they do it out here in Dallas, but on New Year's, like people go outside and once you know they bring in that new here, bro. Bro, my grandma used to do it with that same Deuce, bro. Every year she would walk out there just like this.